Ken will text you because I don't have my phone. Okay, Ken will text you.
That's all your,
Mr. Mayor, you good this morning?
Well, they got the whole work session to go through before they're.
She's on the call meeting Monday. Or
Yeah, she's on the call. How are you?
Hey Chris, how are you?
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. I've got to be in Watkinsville at 11, so.
The presentation shouldn't be that
Okay,
long.
all right, I'll go.
We gotta go into
They do
executive
think
session,
there. Just a little bit. Are we live?
following our work session, so,
I can't see.
you can't see?
When I.
Were you glad? Yeah, I know. Me either. I
So,
said
you
that
know, we got
earlier.
an event like a
Yes.
fog crew.
How are you, Mr. Mayor? I'm good. I was talking to you. You know, when we have masks on, we can't.
I know, it pops up your glasses and all that good stuff.
You good?
I'm well, Well, she is. We're live. Time for grandkids, my daughter.
that's the least safe.
One is 10 years old, he's able to do well. He's
gotta have- We need to get our technology.
We're live. We're live.
I don't know.
We are live.
It's all in different ways.
Card, how are you?
Good morning.
We're gonna let you, when we get into our
Yeah, friggin' thing.
discussion
I know I'm running late, Chris, when I'm walking in with you.
Oh, that's not good,
Did you hear
Chris.
me say that?
He's always later than me, though.
No, I've been here for 15
That
minutes.
whole side of the room is just really, really tardy, huh, Carrie? Trying to bring Carrie in on this.
Well, at least you did better than I did last meeting.
Jason Gage, he's got his presentation, he's going to control it, so we just need to introduce him, if he wants to introduce his other folks, or I will.
Okay.
Morning, Mr. Carey.
Good morning. How are you? Good.
Morning, David.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to welcome you to our work session this morning. If you have cell phones, we would ask you to please turn them off at this time. We will stand and have pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Hodges and prayer by Councilmember Reed. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would like to pray, would you please remain standing? Dear God, thank you for this day, a day that you have made, a day that we shall all rejoice and be glad in. We ask this morning that you grant the mayor and the city council ears to listen to the people that we serve and wisdom to act for justice. Bless our agenda to be fruitful for the common good of the city of Madison. Amen.
Amen. We're going to have a slide presentation by Jason Gate with BD Bart Facility Update. And this facility update is strictly for council members only. They're doing this for our council. That will be, if council members have questions to ask, they can after the presentation. But other than that, the public will not be allowed to call in to make comments. And hopefully, as we said earlier this year, or last year, we would have them to come back again next year when we're able to get back into our facilities here. And we will schedule our town hall meeting with BD Bart Facility Update. And I would ask our city manager, Mr. Noy, to introduce the representative from BD Bart Facility this morning before we go to our slide presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have, of course, Jason Gady on the line for us. He's going to do a presentation. And also we have Boone Bridges with us back here with BD, and also John LaMontagne an engineer with BD, and appreciate them coming out this morning.
Thank you all for being with us this morning. And at this time, we will go ahead with our slide presentation with Mr. Jason Gage from BD BOT Facility.
Thank you, Mayor Perriman. I very much appreciate that, and I appreciate the time with all the council members. And I fully intended to be there. Unfortunately, I had a family medical emergency that prevented me, but as we stated, Boone and John are there in representation only. So I wanted to get into this. I wanted to make sure that my screen is presenting. Is that? Yes, it is. You see the screen?
Yes.
Sir. You're good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So first off, just a real quick piece on BD. BD obviously is one of the largest medical device technology companies in the world. We provide surgical devices to hospitals literally in 50 plus countries. One of the things, when you narrow it down to Georgia, 100,000 patients per month are impacted. And in sterilization in Madison and Covington alone, there's more than 15 million medical devices that are sterilized there. Some of the things that we're known for, you can see listed there, urinary catheters, obviously, is a very large business. PICCs, ports, stents, feeding tubes, and the list literally goes on and on and on from all the medical devices that support healthcare facilities. One of the things that I wanted to hit, and I know this is a busy slide, and I do not intend to go through this piece by piece at all, but I wanted to talk about the COVID response that BD has orchestrated. Probably most importantly is our rapid response system. It's a testing device and equipment that gives feedback on positive or negative COVID responses within 15 minutes. Very unique, one of its kind. We have delivered, as a matter of fact, 4 million of these tests to over 12,000 nursing homes. And we're working with the United States Health and Human Services Department to expand that as quickly as possible, as you can imagine. In addition, everybody knows that many companies, several companies are working on a vaccine. And BD, as many people know, is a leader in injection sets, so needles and syringes. So it's very likely, 90% plus, that when this vaccine is developed, that it will be delivered by BD injection set. And we're currently ramping that capacity now and literally stockpiling these devices in preparation for FDA approval of the vaccine. Just a little bit about, and most people know this, but I just thought I would cover it quickly. There are actually 4 facilities in the Covington, Madison area. The UCC, which is Urinary and Critical Care Headquarters, is in Covington, and that is all research and development, including sales, marketing, a very large operation. The conglomerate is around 1,000 employees plus. Of course, we have sterilization in Madison, Covington. And then we have, finally, our global distribution center. If I refer to the GDC as I go through this, you'll know that I'm talking about the distribution center. We seem to use far too many acronyms, so I apologize if I do that too often. Let's get right to it from an environmental activity perspective. First of all, what you're seeing is a picture of the Madison facility. The critical piece here that we could speak to is, first of all, the emission control systems are fully operational at the Madison facility. And you can see a picture of those, and I'll explain that a little bit in detail to explain what you're seeing there. It's a dry bed system, and so all four corners of the building, all air emissions are collected, and they're funneled through what we call these dry beds. Dry beds are actually fairly simplistic in the fact that it's a bead system. The beads are covered with chemicals, and as ETO passes over those beads, it's neutralized. And these systems are 90% plus effective in neutralizing ETO. So it's a dramatic reductions from an emission perspective. So that's one. The second one is our LDAR system, which is leak detection and repair. This is a preventative maintenance system. And what it allows us to do is detect the potential for leaks before they occur. And so we're testing throughout the facility all external fittings, valves, piping, literally anything that would contain ETO. And this system helps us detect the potential for leaks and obviously solve the problems before they occur. So that's a significant improvement for us. And then finally on here is our ability to characterize ETO residuals. So simply stated that when you sterilize the device, ETO can remain in the device, in the packaging, and in the pallet for some amount of time. And we're the first to characterize that so that we understand very specifically what that product is emitting from an emissions perspective. And you'll understand why we do that and what we're doing about it as I move forward in this presentation. So I'll come back to that point. If you consider Covington, they're sister facilities, right? So Madison and Covington are nearly identical. So I won't go through all of this with Covington because it literally is replicated. So you have the dry beds, you have the LDAR, and again, you have the characterization of these ETO residuals. But in addition, on this slide, you see that I referenced the Global Distribution Center. So by December 31st or before, we will have implemented the exact same dry bed system in the GDC for collection of emissions. And that project is on schedule and we intend to hit that target. So let me talk about some additional activities because it's not just emission controls that we've executed. We spoke about the GDC. There is a process, it's post-sterilization, that's called aeration. Aeration is again, fairly simple in concept. When you apply humidity and heat to products that have been subjected to ETO, it exacerbates or it speeds the degassing of that product. So what we've done is we've extended that degassing period so that we'll extract more of the ETO out of the product. And that's what's happened. We've gone to 24-hour aeration, if you will. The second is that Foley tray catheters have been removed from the GDC. The reason that we did that is that they have the tendency to retain more ETO from a residual perspective than other products. So we've eliminated that going to the GDC there in Covington. Very importantly, and I'll get into this in quite a level of detail, is our ambient air monitoring system. And this is in surrounding communities around the GDC, around Covington. So we have the distribution center encircled. And we also have monitoring that occurs in 4 different neighborhoods, north, south, literally east and west of our operations in Covington. And again, I'll go through those results in short order so we can go through that in detail. One of the most impressive things, I talked about characterization of our products. So understanding exactly how much ETO is degassed or emitted out of that product. So right now, as a matter of fact, we have already approved through the FDA what we call Cycle 15. The theory is this simply, the less ETO that you sterilize with, the less that gets emitted. So cycle 15 is revolutionary, and it has significantly reduced the amount of ETO consumed in the sterilization process while maintaining a sterile product, which obviously is first and foremost with us. To ensure that product is sterile is of course obvious and critical. However, we're in development of this team. It's been implemented, and I'll speak to that and also a little bit more detail in an upcoming slide. This is probably the most interesting slide. This is our air monitoring. So, you know, I've talked about emission controls. I've talked about our level of characterizing product, new sterilization cycles that reduce the use of ETO, but this is really where the rubber hits the road. And that is, okay, so how is the environment impacted? So first of all, let me start here. There's a term that many of you may be familiar with, and it's known as background. And the theory, well, the evidence is that ETO is emitted by many things in our environment. It's naturally occurring, but also occurs with other influences. So those influences, for example, vehicles are primary. Vehicles, semi-trucks, you can imagine every vehicle that's on the highway is emitting ETO into our environment. Fascinating to me when I first got into this, another contributor, would you believe, is something as simple as a charcoal grill. So when you're out grilling, it literally is emitting ETO. The point of all of this is that the EPA conducted a study, and this was nationwide. And they looked at areas that had no sterilization impact. So no ETO manufacturing, no ETO consumption. And so what they set up was an average or a range, if you will, of areas, again, throughout the United States that did not have any ETO consumption or manufacturing. That range is 0.2 to 0.4 milligrams per micrograms, per milliliter cube. Now, so it's a number, and the number is on average throughout the United States. You're subjected to a background of 0.2 to 0.4. As you can see, in the Covington area, where we're doing all of this monitoring, we're averaging about 0.325. So we're really in the center of background. That's a very impressive result, and obviously we're happy to see that. Now, that testing includes a couple of things. Number one, our third-party organization, Rumble, has conducted all of that testing for us. We don't do any of that testing on our own. That's done through Rumble Consulting. And the number of measurements are now past actually 340, so it's a very large sample size. It also, EPD, so the Georgia Environmental Protection Division, also does monitoring. So this result is a summation of all of that data, and again shows us in the middle of the road. Now, I just want to point out two more things on this slide quickly. If you go to the right of the slide, you see General Coffee State Park, and it's a 0.7, which clearly is more than 2 times the result in Covington. It's an interesting phenomenon that is occurring in that state park. We don't profess to know exactly why that occurs, but we know that data, actually all of it collected by Georgia EPD, is in fact true. If you move to the center slide, that's Fulton County or Atlanta, this one probably is more explainable. So as you can see in the Atlanta area, Fulton County, the measurement is 3 times that of Covington. The theory would be obviously that with the heavy vehicle traffic, it has a significant impact on ETO background in Fulton County. So that's our monitoring data. What I wanted to go on to explain is that our engagement with a number of areas. The first one we're very proud And the FDA issued what's called an innovation challenge. And what that did is it reached out to all companies that are involved in ETO consumption or manufacturing. And asked them to submit proposals and projects for improvements. So 46 companies submitted, 12 were selected. We were one of those that were selected to participate. And FDA is particularly interested in the technologies that I just explained about how we control fugitive emissions. As well, they're extremely interested in optimization of the sterilization cycle. So we're proud to be part of that innovation challenge. And as you know, we've gone a long way in providing answers of how these reductions and improvements can occur. From a state perspective, local perspective, many of you have toured our facilities. We're always open to that. We encourage it. We realize that COVID has caused us all to behave a little bit more differently, but we encourage people to tour and understand, to be able to see the improvements that we've made. And then finally, we work with the EPA, and EPA is currently looking at revising commercial sterilization rule. And we're working with them to provide, again, how reductions can occur, how you can reduce your emissions, and how you can consume less ETO in your sterilization processes. Finally, we have a website that we encourage you to go to if you would like, etosafety.bd.com. Latest news, fact sheet, resources. It speaks to what we're doing in a little bit more detail. So, Mayor Perryman and all council members, thank you for the time to present, and we wanted to get, most importantly, to any and all questions.
We thank you, Jason, for that presentation. Are there any questions for Jason from our council members before he leaves this morning? Any council members have any questions for him or the representatives that are here this morning?
Is this the time to ask a couple of questions?
Sure,
Mr.
sure it is.
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. I don't know if for Mr. Gady or the gentlemen that are here. Mainly related to our responsibility on the council here to determine how we're going to spend the $65,000 grant from, I'm not sure grant's the right word, but the $65,000 from BD and how we intend to use that. So I just have a few quick questions. Number one, why did BD pay the city of Covington and more specifically also pay the city of Madison $65,000?
Well, I guess you can ask that question to Mr. Gady if he's still on the line or not the
Are you
representative.
still with us,
who are
Mr.
here.
Gady?
Yeah, I am. I'm still here. There was a legal agreement that was made in the form of a consent order between BD and the Georgia EPD. And in that consent order, that was directed. So being compliant to the consent order is exactly why those funds were issued both to Covington and to Madison.
Okay, do you have any comments, Mr. Gady, on why that amount was selected?
I don't know. Actually, that particular amount. What I do know is that it was directed to the consent order, and again, we wanted to be compliant to that specific request.
Okay, then kind of the last question I had is if this council, who is, I think we've agreed that it's going to be our decision at some point and how to spend that money. If we decide we are going to spend it on external outside testing, very much like the city of Covington did, what would your comment be to that?
Well, I guess one of the things that I would comment is that possibly to spend a bit of time with us, to go through all of the data. It is available on the public website through EPD, of course, but we would love to work with you if you're interested and be able to show you all of the data that we've collected as well as what the EPD has collected for testing. The only reason I mention that is because, again, of the large sample size. I mean, when you're talking about testing and actually have performed 300 plus tests, it's a very, very large sample size, and the results actually are very, very good. The Madison facility is a sister facility to Covington. They're nearly identical, with the exception that Madison is actually newer. So my only comment, and it's an opinion, would be is that Madison would be every bit as good and possibly slightly better. Madison, as you know, does not have a global distribution center. So, our expectations would be the numbers that we presented would most likely be demonstrated again in Madison should there be testing that was conducted.
I might add that I did take your very kind offer to do a tour down there with other city council, and I believe the mayor was there as well. So I appreciate certainly the opportunity to go through that plant here in Madison. And I got to admit, it's an impressive plant. From what little I know about these things, it was impressive. I came away thinking it was well managed and a very clean operation. However, as far as statistics, just very briefly, I know we're not really in a debate situation here, but one of the reasons I'm interested in the testing is because I don't really have the stats with me, but we talked about average ETO emission numbers, and this goes back 6 months, so forgive me for not being a little more specific, but the average testing, when they had set up, I think it was 8 testing sites in Covington, the average was well below EPA allowable limits. I will grant you that's a true statement. However, one of them was like about 3 times over the limit. When you average all 8 testing stations, it's true it was below the allowable average by far. But that's not going to help you much if you live nearby that one testing site that was so high. So that's just an example. I hope I'm not being unfair to you here, since I don't really know, I can't have the specifics. But I've found that out myself looking at the data that you're referring to, and it just makes me cautious when I see some very complex numbers and how they're all put together. But
yeah, no, I understand completely. And as a matter of fact, to your very point, we've seen data like that before also. And I'll give you one example. I showed you the information on General Coffee State Park, and they're also in that data, if you review it, the average was, just a bit north of 0.7. Outside of the range actually of the averages for baseline, but there were spikes in it, and I mean to your point, sir, large spikes, and again we don't know exactly why those occurred, but I will tell you that the most simplest things can impact one reading, and I kid you not. If a diesel truck, for example, is idling near one of the test sites and it remains idling for any period of time, 30 minutes, an hour, these tests are conducted on a 24-hour average, is how they work. It will significantly impact the result. And so we don't know what happened to the spikes that occurred in General Coffee State Park. But theoretically, there was an outside influence that occurred. So that's what we've learned today.
well, thank you for your comment. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Any other council members? Mr. Gay, thank you so much for your presentation this morning, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully next year at our town hall meeting when things get better. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mayor Perriman and council members. We greatly appreciate it. Everybody have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any comments from the representative who are here with us this morning? Thank you for being here as well. Thank you so much. And before we go any further, I would just like for our city manager, either Main Street Director, Ms. Huff, to introduce our newly elected, newly hired city employee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're very pleased to introduce formally this morning Karen Robertson, who very shortly, she's tag teaming right now with Ann Huff. Ann's working till just about her retirement will be effective just about the end of the month. And Karen came on, I think, Monday. Do I have that right? And she's working very closely, getting the fire hose treatment as far as drinking from the fire hose and knowing what all Ann's been doing. And we're excited to have her. And please help me welcome Karen.
Thank you. And certainly she's a good addition to our city, and we certainly welcome you on your new position here at the City of Madison.
What I
Sure.
especially like about this hire is that people know her, and the businesses downtown know her and have worked with her and already have a good rapport with Karen, so I think that will ease the transition for her and for Ann. So I'm excited. Thank you.
I'm excited as well, and welcome to the City of Madison, Karen.
You know, Chris, on that comment, since so many people know you, I, of course, doing due diligence when I shouldn't really be, but I'm checking around with people that know her. To be honest with you, I got nothing but rave reviews.
He's our
Everyone
private
that-
detective.
Really, so I think, yeah, I'm very pleased.
Oh, God.
Thanks for those comments, and certainly
Welcome.
her reputation follows her, and we're just happy to have you with our city. We have next on our discussion this morning is the Madison Morgan Lodging Association property tax return. And we're going to ask our legal representative to make comments on that, but before he do, our council member might want to make comments on this as well. But we know we received a letter from the MMLA asking for a 25% reductions in their tax returns. And personally, I think, as all of us know, we would all like a 25% reduction in our tax return. But I just think it's impossible to do that. If there's any comments from my council member, we'll receive those comments at this time. And if not, we will have our attorney to advise us on this. Mr. Carter.
Thank you. I was thinking about you, Chris, this week. I was in a deposition which I attended by Zoom. Some of the lawyers wanted to attend in person. Guy came all the way over from Mississippi, attended in person, and now he's in the hospital with COVID.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm glad I wasn't there because,
Yeah.
getting exposed is a mess. So thank you all for wearing these masks. As far as the taxation is concerned, the Board of Assessors establishes the taxes for the values of property. The local government assesses a millage rate, and that goes to the State Revenue Commissioner. Once that digest is approved by the State Revenue Commissioner, that's the digest. And we have no authority, not even the state legislature has the authority to create or carve out a class or relief for any one business, because the Georgia Constitution requires that it be equal. All classes, there's all tangible property in Georgia, except for cars and mobile homes, is all of one class. And you can't, the city council does not have the authority, nor does the state legislature have the authority to grant this kind of relief to one member of that class whose property has already been appraised, whose property has already been approved, the digest has already been approved, and we just don't have the authority to change it. There are several cases a whole lot of cases that support this basic constitutional provision, and it's governed by the Constitution, not even by a state statute. So it is my opinion that we do not have the authority to grant the request.
So Jimmy, you're just clear, 'cause it's hard to hear you. The city government, we do not, as a body, have the authority to reduce a business, an industry's taxes by any amount, and the only way we can do that is when we set the millage rate and we take the rollback, which I think we've done I mean, I
We
think
have.
they pay one of the lowest,
Right.
the downtown business and the corridor, I believe. Is that right, David? We've taken the rollback for years. So, I think they would have to get relief from the state legislature. Is that right?
I don't think the state legislature, they gotta get, we're stuck with the tax millage rate until the next
Well,
assessment.
that's what I'm saying. If they
Yes.
wanted to do it the next assessment, then, which would be June of
But the
next
method has
year.
got to be uniform.
Yeah.
And we
And we have to look at the budget. I mean, there's a lot of mitigating factors, right? So,
And we understand that a lot of business has been hurt by this COVID-19,
Yeah.
which is out of all our control. And I wish we could do something, but like I
Karen,
tried
do
to
you,
say,
do you know how low, have we gotten a lot less hotel motel tax revenue? Has it been, do you know the numbers? Do you have any idea? Am I putting, you don't have it right in front of you, do you? And that's not something you can give me today if you want to.
Well, this is concerning the property tax.
No, I know,
The
but-
hotel motel tax is.
No, I know that. I'm just asking if you can tell that their business has been hurt.
They have.
Yeah.
It's down probably about 28%.
28, so okay, gotcha. All right, that's the only question I was looking for, so.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank
That's
you.
Chris.
You know, it sounds to me as if no matter what we individually feel, like whether there's merit in this request or not, it's all kind of moot because it appears, according to our attorney's opinion, that it's contrary to the Georgia state constitution.
Absolutely.
So I don't think we need to really weigh in whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. We can't do anything about it one way or the other. Is that correct, Jim?
That's right. I can read you cases, here's one of the treatises. The requirement of the state constitution that all taxes be uniform upon the same class of subjects has produced many judicial opinions, some of them holding the action of the tax assessors, some granting injunctions, but all this is in tax assessors. The principle must first be recognized that a taxpayer cannot resist a legal improper assessment by alleging that another taxpayer has been underassessed. His remedy is to call for review and arbitration under the statutes. And once the tax digest has been filed and approved by the Revenue Commissioner, it's too late to question uniformity of the tax. So, and if you look at there's a case starting in 1973 which recognized a constitutional requirement that all tangible real estate and tangible property other than a trailer or a car is of one class and has to be taxed uniformly. And all that happens during the assessment and the submission of the tax digest to the Revenue Commissioner. So we don't have the power to change the tax digest in the first place. You know, that's the Board of Tax Assessors. We set a millage rate which is applied uniformly across all the property according to the value that's placed on it by the tax assessors. And we do not have the authority at this point to come in and change the taxation and the tax collection on the hotels.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Appreciate that information. We will talk about our proposed change to our police officer pay scale in our executive session when we go into our executive session this morning. Public attendance at council meetings, Council Member Joyce.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I've asked to put this on the agenda kind of again, really. We've had, I know some of us received a letter from a citizen who at our last meeting, it might have been a work session, I'm not really sure, but they were unable to get through on the phone after the meeting. And we were here, we thought there was no public comment. He dialed the number we gave, and it just rang and rang. And we think there's no public comment, so we adjourned the meeting. That's at least the second time that's happened. A couple of meetings ago, I thought we had kind of a discussion. I remember at the end of it, I asked for clarification. Are we allowing the public in or not? A couple of council members agreed that we were. Well, the website was never changed. It's the same wording that I see now, that it's for city council, staff, and mayor only. We've all, I mean, I'm not recommending that we open up. I think the opinions of other people besides us, staff that is required to be here, I think that they probably have a vote in that also. But anyway, I'm concerned, I guess, Mayor, that our obligations to have public meetings, I'm not sure we're really adhering to that. We've had at least 2 meetings, including one meeting that had 2 zoning hearings, zoning public hearings, and the public was unable to tune in. That's happened too many times, in my opinion. I'm not sure what the solution is. I did, if it's any help, not that we want to do what everybody else is doing, but I thought it'd be interesting. I did check around with a few of our neighboring communities as to what they're doing. So we've got a bunch, well, there's 2 that have virtual only, and that's Covington does a Zoom meeting, and they're closed to the public, and Athens does a YouTube meeting, and they're closed to the public. Everybody else around here allows the public in up to 6-foot spacing. Most have mask requirements, and that's Edenton, and they're in-person only. They have no virtual component at all. Greensboro is the same thing, in-person only. Monroe is in-person, but they also broadcast on YouTube simultaneously. Watkinsville is in-person only, up to 19 people, so they've measured out the 6 foot and come up with a number of 19, then that's it. And they also broadcast on Ring Central, whatever that is. Monticello is in-person only, and they were the only ones also that had a temperature reader at the door. I thought that was interesting. We did get an email a while back from a vendor trying to sell us temperature readers, and I know the hospital has one. It's freestanding. You just kind of line up your forehead. It beeps. That might be an option if we do decide to invite at least some of the public in. Social Circle is in-person only, and that kind of gives you an idea there. So the majority of them are allowing some people in. I'm not recommending that is the best thing. You had Attorney Carter's comment there. I know I've talked to a couple of staff members who are required to be here as part of our meetings, and I think there was some concern about that. I share that concern too, but the way we're currently doing it, the live streaming, it was supposed to be an augmentation to our public meetings. When Mr. Coker came up with doing this, the timing was really kind of ideal, but it was supposed to be a way to enhance our public meetings. And it was never designed to be a total substitution for public meetings. And I think as good as it is, it's not really meeting our obligations when it comes to public comment.
So how many comments do you get after we have our council meeting, Councilmember George, from people who are citizens who are saying that they literally cannot hear? How many constituents are you literally hearing from?
Well, the one meeting that we had no involvement whatsoever, even though they were trying, there were at least 3 people who I talked to who wanted to get in on that meeting. This last one I'm referring to that contacted Chris and I.
Yeah, and it could have been a fluke, because I wasn't at that meeting, and I called in, and I'm wondering if it was a mishap with the call phone. I was talking to David, or through David's phone, and maybe, I think this thing was off the hook. I don't know, but he couldn't call in, and he was, and the constituent was very frustrated because he had a question pertaining to what we were about to vote on. So I think that's your argument, is we should take public comment.
And Mayor, if I could,
So-
whether it's 100 people who are upset because they can't get in, or whether it's 1, it doesn't really matter to me. I think if there's one citizen who's deprived of the right to a public meeting, I think that's something we need to act on personally. And I'm just uncomfortable that I just spoke with Jim, and he says our current system meets our legal obligation for public meetings. He's the attorney, I'm not. but I'm uneasy about it, and I wanted to bring it up before. We had kind of do you remember the meeting where we kind of briefly talked about this, and there was kind of an agreement to
Like 6
let the
people or-
public
yeah,
in,
I
but
think
the
so.
website was never changed to reflect that. We're currently not allowing anyone but mayor, council, and staff, and I know some people were invited, but, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where we're at with it. I just want to discuss it one more time. I'm just one council member, but I'm uneasy with the way we're currently doing the
I think it
public
just needs some,
comment.
I think we're just asking for some consistency in what our plan is.
Why don't we
Yeah.
give Ken an
Okay.
opportunity to say something?
Thank you, Mayor Perriman. This is not meant to sway one way or the other as far as people coming in, but I just had a little information for you. You might have noticed today that we had a GoToMeeting participant. It was actually a test. You might, in the back of the room, see that there's a lot more wires and contraptions back there. So we have nailed down the possibility of having GoToMeeting and live streaming at the same time
Awesome.
without any echoing. So at your next council meeting, people will be able to attend virtually through GoToMeeting or watch with live streaming. And as near as I can tell, we've fixed that echoing thing with all the additional equipment we put back there. The other thing is we have an HDMI switcher, so those who are watching on live streaming today, when Mr. Gady was speaking, the screen went fully to his presentation. So
That's
they were
great.
allowed to follow along with that, which will be great for zoning. When Bryce does his presentation, that will be on the screen. So whether or not you choose to have people in the room, we've really taken a big leap forward as far as people able to participate not being in the room. Just want you to know that.
That's great, Ken.
That is great, and that might, as far as I'm concerned, having people here in the room is only a way to get compliant with our obligations for open meetings. I would prefer to do a virtual. I've sat in a dozen city commission meetings, including yours, Ken, with a number of your HPC and so forth, under the GoToMeetings format. I've told y'all before what I think. I think it's a great format. Ken's able to download documents on the screen, and you can see people. We can be in the safety of you can be here if you want, or you can be at home and not wear a mask. It's a much better system. I'm
I
really
think
pleased.
Karen probably got tired of me sending one more email going, oh, there's one more cord I need. I need one more way to hook this thing together. But as fortune would have it, yesterday, we got it all nailed down right when Mr. Gady was asking to do that, and he was our test run, and I think it went pretty good.
It
Yeah,
went well
so
this morning.
So
It
that
did.
was under the.
That was GoToMeeting.
That was
And we were
GoToMeeting?
live streaming at the same time, and we had no feedback.
I
so-
love it. That's great. Good work.
And I ask everybody to take a look at the live streaming recording of the meeting, so you can see how it works with people being able to see what's on screen now. instead
This
of
is
just
why
typing.
you're our information.
Ken.
officer.
Well,
Mr. Mayor, I have a question
Sure.
for Ken.
yeah.
During that GoToMeeting process,
Yes.
those people that are there, are they muted until we open
So
public
the-
comments? Because,
Even if they don't mute themselves, that input comes through to the speakers, which I can just completely turn off.
okay, I just wanted, we don't want interruptions as we're trying to go, and appropriate time for public comments is when it's asked
Right.
for public comments.
Right.
And I think we need to ensure that we have public comments, especially like with zoning. It's limited to 15 minutes, and however they want to do it. I just, from the mayor's sake, for all of our sakes, we don't want one person calling in and just dominating the conversation. And we can cut them off. And ask for somebody else.
Thank you, Ed. And just to
Mr.
clarify, yes, sir.
I want to put our minds at rest. I want to read this Open Meetings Act, okay?
Okay.
Under circumstances necessitated by emergency conditions involving public safety or the preservation of property or public services, agents, or other communities thereof, not otherwise permitted to conduct meetings by teleconference, may meet by means of teleconferences so long as the notice provided by this chapter is given and means are afforded for the public to have simultaneous access to the teleconferencing meeting. And that doesn't mean that they have to be able to get in and comment. It means that they need to know
Call in. yeah.
what we're doing here in this room, so that they can make a judgment.
So there's no, so we don't have to provide them access to the ability to comment?
As long as they can see it and hear it,
Okay.
we're legal.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Of course,
Well, good,
of course, you
yeah.
want to have
Yeah,
public comment when you
absolutely.
can. But
Um,
I just want you to know that your meetings have not been illegal.
Okay,
Gotcha.
good. And all I.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we talked about it the other day, is to allow them to text into a number that, saying they can't get in, and so they can notify us that they've had trouble. We talked about that with David, that provide a text number that they can text and say, we can't get in, so we know we have a problem. Eric, I think that would address that question if it comes up, because one of us would just have to keep our phone on to get a text or whatever,
Yeah.
but give them the option to be able to send a text to us, letting us know they can't get in.
That's exactly what Chris and I
Yeah.
suggested to this one
Well,
citizen,
Exactly.
to do that, and I think we both have our phones ready.
Well, on that note, I got a text.
What'd you get?
So this is from, and this goes back to a previous conversation, but I want to present it while, but this is from the head of MMLA about what they're looking for. It's a payment option for tax till July 2021 without penalty or interest. Tax collector needs council's approval to do this. Each property would like to work with the collector on their plan. So not necessarily reducing taxes, but taking penalties and interest off. And it sounds like what he's saying is they need our approval to remove interest and penalties. I don't know if that's for another conversation.
I would suggest that be another conversation
Okay.
and let our legal counsel look into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell him to reach out to you with what their proposal is, or CC all of us on that.
The only opinion I give is to the city manager.
But is that something
I'm
that's?
not gonna give them a legal
Okay,
opinion.
no, I gotcha, okay,
Thank you so much, and I think that's only fair.
okay.
That's only fair. So we have one more really public meeting for this year, and I would just ask that we continue to meet virtually and see how things goes. We know statewide the COVID-19 is on the rise again, and I just ought to say for the safety of the employees of the city of Madison and even us, let's continue to do what we're doing until things do get better. And I'm sure that Councilmember Reed can testify. Having this COVID-19 is nothing to play with. It's a hazardous thing to your health.
It is.
So we have to look out for our city staff, our city employees, and our citizens as well. And thank you, Ken, for making things better for our citizens to be able to log into it. Thank you so much. Natural gas supplies, David?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce Steve Edwards.
Mr.
Steve,
Edwards.
in the back, a fine resident of the city of Madison. He is the, Mickey Edwards at the high school is his better half. I think you know principal at the high school.
He
Just
definitely
put you in your
overmarried.
place. What's that?
He definitely overmarried.
Steve works for the Gas Authority on our behalf of a lot of cities marketing gas, and I thank you, Steve, for helping us with this. We really have two things we want to talk about this morning. One, at your desk, you have this piece of paper with what this does. These are natural gas incentives, or incentives for gas appliances. The top group is what we currently do. You see, for example, a tank-type water heater, we give a $300 rebate. And over in the far column, it tells you how long, based on a certain base charge and a certain markup in gas, you assume a few things, but we get that back in 1 year, or 1.4 years, the current incentives. What we'd like to do is what we'd propose to do, and we've got a couple of options down here, but we would like to ease those rebates up. The cost of appliances has increased, the cost of installation increases, and we just need to stay current. The second group, the second block is the same appliances, but for example, a tank-type water heater would go up to $400, tankless $400, a furnace up to $500. That's a big difference in that. Gas logs $100, and as you can see on down the line. What the middle group does is gives a separate incentive to the contractor. If the contractor installs a 1 or 2 or 3 of these, we write them a check. It's just an incentive. Other cities are doing this. Several other cities are having success with this, and it incentivizes both the homeowner and the contractor to go natural. The third group at the bottom is the new rebates with no contractor incentives. And you see the paybacks. They change a little bit, but not a whole lot. My recommendation, if you'd like to hear one, is to go with the middle, to incentivize our contractors, our installers to look at natural, to give them a little thanks, and to go with an updated group of rebates to get those more in line. And Steve is aware of what other cities around us are doing. We don't directly compete with them, but there's some logic in what kind of rebate we give. Just to let you know how the process works, if a builder comes in or a homeowner, there's several ways they can do this. For the rebates, they can come in if they're building a house, or if they're adding on or something, they can come in and declare what they're going to do. And Steve helps us out by going and verifying that work is actually done. And things change from permit time to the time when things are installed. So we actually add some and we take some away based on what was actually done during the building process. And then after it's verified, then we write the homeowner or the contractor, whichever one it is, a check for the rebate. And it is an investment. Power companies, Georgia Power, they have the same kind of thing. They do rebates for different things. There are incentive programs going all the time. So I'll take any questions on this before we get into the
So do
second.
you find more people are now going tankless?
For water heat, I don't know that there are more. I think there are people that are learning about tankless water heat. It's a bit more expensive on the front end, for example, Wellbridge, they committed to natural gas furnaces in all their units, 86 or 87 initially, and natural gas furnaces and tankless water heat. So again, thank you, Steve, for working with the developers of that to make that work. We had to get some infrastructure put in a hurry, but we got that done. So that's another large group of customers on our system. But natural gas appliances, again, just for commercial, very efficient. It's homegrown energy. It's clean. It's a great value. I'd love to sit down and show people the difference in the cost per unit or per BTU for heat. It's a great value, and your money stays local. The shareholders are the citizens and the owners of the gas system, which is a great thing.
David, I've had a couple of people bring their gas dryers in. Like
Yes.
they've already they already have it, and they're
Yes.
bringing it. So will $50 be
Yes.
enough to cover, or will
Well,
y'all help? Because that,
$50 is not necessarily, $50 for the rebate is based on how much gas that will consume. The things are so efficient, they don't return a lot.
no, I'm
to the
saying
city.
how would somebody who has their own dryer bring, they have to run the gas line to the dryer, the
Yes.
house, so they're retrofitting a house, so
Yes.
there's some expense that goes into that.
Yes.
So how can we help those folks? I mean, it's, because you.
I think just based on the rebate and a contractor rebate.
So you could
if
use that,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
So they've already got their appliances,
And if
because
they-
people have gas dryers now.
and if they
so-
install it and they don't know their rebates, if
Yeah.
it's within a reasonable amount of time, they can bring their proof of purchase or proof of installation, and
Yeah.
we'll write them a check.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So, David, as council members, we double sign a lot of checks, and
Yes.
I've signed these checks, and I got to admit, it was a little stunning at first when I realized I was signing a check for one house for $600
Yes.
worth of rebates.
Yes.
Are we actually getting that money? The ROI is actually less than 2 years to get back that 600?
The ROI based on the calculations, based on an assumed use or an assumed load on that appliance, plus $9 a month ready to serve, whether they use it or not. That's on the appliance itself.
I mean, the base,
The base charge, that's right, that's right. But those, some cases that might be a bit aggressive, in other cases it may not be. But, you know, for other utility investments, especially natural gas, we look at a much longer return on investment for capital expenditure, maybe, 10 or 15 years before it starts to pay off. But, we don't, as I like to say, we won't ever, if we don't get that customer, we won't ever start paying that back. But this is just, this is a little bit of a bump in the rebates to stay current.
What about the pool contractors? There's so many people put pools in. Do we have a relationship with would they know any of this? Because I think pool heated
I
with
think
gas.
most of the homeowners do. A
Yeah.
pool heater is a large investment, not only on the front end, but on the monthly basis, because they
Yeah.
use a good bit of energy.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Any other questions on this?
I'm just glad
If
the
you-
city is able to
I would like
work.
to recommend the middle block to incentivize some contractors, see how that works out. We could always adjust if we needed to, but we'll bring this.
We can put on our consent
I think
agenda.
yeah,
We could-
absolutely.
We got a nod from our council, and we can put on our consent agenda for our next council meeting.
He said I did it perfect.
Okay, good.
I didn't hear perfect.
I did not hear that,
I
David.
didn't hear
All
that.
right, I'm on this second part. This is really this is exciting, but this part, this Main Street on-bill financing is very exciting. And this program has been out for a few years, and we've just not taken advantage of it here. But it is what this name implies. If you are on the natural gas system in the city of Madison and you need to replace your furnace, okay, you come and you can apply, and I'm gonna get Steve to clean this up in just a minute, but you can apply and interest-free on a loan for up to 5 years? Yes. 5 years, 60 months. There is a monthly administration fee. It's a very small amount.
$3.
But if you qualify for this, then your contractor and the cost of the equipment will be paid for up front, and then this will be put on your utility bill every month, and you'll just pay it as part of your utility bill.
So
It'll be
you're-
amortized out for 3 years, 4 years, 5
So
years.
you're saying they'll pay for your furnace? For your
Well, they'll pay for it, you gotta pay for it
yeah,
back.
yeah, but it's a low interest loan?
Low interest loan,
Get
yes.
out, that's
That's pretty
awesome.
good.
Now, that is
On
really
bill
good.
financing,
Can you choose your own contractor?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So it's not, are there vendors that are preferred?
Let Mr. Edwards speak, David.
Yeah. Steve has been involved in it for lots of cities. I'm gonna let, he's got them.
I mean, I'm hoping I'm right, I'm asking
Yeah,
you are correct.
absolutely.
questions.
That's correct. You get to choose your own contractor.
Okay.
And so it's all based on what you want, not what the city dictates. And so whatever you decide that you want for your home, and then the payback is, as David mentioned, over a period of time, 0 interest, $3 a month. $3 goes back into a general fund so that we can loan additional dollars back out. And then the city of Madison is not held responsible. We don't want to advertise that, but they're not held responsible for any defaults on any loans. that all goes back into the gas authority funds. And so this is provided through the gas authority itself, which you all are a member of, and not obligated through the city of Madison.
So is there any way you could like email us like a simulation of that, like an example, like this homeowner needed to replace their furnace and they were on the gas line and,
We can
and
get
the
that.
furnace was like $5,000 and.
We
this
actually
is
have
the-
a sample just
Okay.
like that.
And that way we can maybe put it on our,
Yeah, we-
website, on our social, I mean, that's an
That's really
incredible
good.
program for people
Is
that
this just for
may.
furnaces?
No, any
every-
gas appliance.
Every
Any
natural
gas.
gas appliance.
And,
Oh,
and Steve, do
wow.
y'all, let me ask you another question, and do you have any product that you recommend for making sure that the CO is, the carbon dioxide, what is it, carbon monoxide, right? Do you have a, apparatus that people can purchase or put in their house to protect them, or are all the fire, alarms supposed to have them now? I
You're
don't know.
You're required to have that
I'm a
from
new
CO.
gas customer, and I'm afraid I don't have what I need in my house. So what do you recommend for people that are gas customers to?
And through the city, we would not recommend anything.
Yeah.
We would offer up the opportunity for anyone to go get those at the local hardware,
Okay,
big
Lowe's
box
or whatever?
stores.
Okay,
And it
okay.
just would be a detector, just as you
Okay,
mentioned.
so you recommend that as part of being a gas customer?
Yes,
That's all,
ma'am.
that's, thank
You can get a smoke detector that's also a carbon monoxide detector.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah, this is, we've been a little bit slow to the party on this, and I don't know why. I think it's gonna be wildly popular.
I think so.
It is
Because
gonna be.
I've replaced a system at my house, a few years ago, and the contractor said, well, you can pay for it 3 years, same as cash, and I said, what? And then you just make payments, and this was like on a credit type deal. But this is the same thing. Again, there's a very small monthly fee to cover the admin, and, but it doesn't, for a decent size, it probably wouldn't even amount to 1%. I think we calculated it, Steve. It's a very, very minuscule amount.
That's correct.
You certainly couldn't do it on a credit card or anything else, so.
That's great.
And this is, again, removing one of those barriers to entry into natural gas. People can get what they want. They can pay for it over time.
I think we should do a commercial on this.
Well, we can do,
I agree.
we'll get it out
With the high
there.
school's, video
Yeah.
people.
Right now, this is residential only.
Yeah, residential.
No, she's
No, I'm
talking about a
saying
commercial
that-
to advertising,
Yes,
Steve.
well, I'd love to do that,
I mean,
absolutely.
I think that,
I
I mean,
agree.
sometimes people, these things are hard to grasp because they
Right.
seem so
Well, that-
surreal and make it, bring it down so people can understand what's out there and if they want to participate.
I just received.
Sounds like a win-win.
Just received an email, I peeped at an email a few minutes ago from a couple of city gas customers. They're looking at Renai tankless. And they did write a check up front. As you remember, we give away tank-type water heaters, 40 and 50 gallon for people to replace or new or whatever. We also give rebates, but on tankless, we give the rebate, but they have to pay for the rest of it. But if this is the case, then they could just finance it and finance the installation as well,
Wow.
which can be substantial, a substantial sum depending on where they locate it.
You know, I
So-
have a Renai tankless, works great. It's really
Yeah,
good.
so do I. They're a fabulous piece of equipment. They work really well.
Who is
So-
the overarching agency that's, I know it's Main Street, I mean, is that under,
The Gas Authority.
what is the gas
It's the
authority?
gas authority. And
Oh,
again,
okay.
there's very little risk or no risk to the city. And the default rate is very, I think program-wide is very, very small with this program, so.
Okay, Steve, thank you so much. Appreciate your work with our city as well.
And we'll get this on the next council agenda just to vote to.
Right, it's on the consent agenda.
Consent.
To
Actually, make sure it's on the consent. agenda.
adopt, to enter the program.
Right. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Upcoming public service announcements, Ken?
Just wanted to remind everybody that some of our boards are appointed to begin their terms in January, and some are appointed to begin their terms in June. So The January appointments are coming up. We'd look to do that at your December meeting. So those boards are the Audit Committee, Historic Preservation Commission, the Corridor Commission, and Planning and Zoning. So there are terms on each of those that are ending. Of course, the existing members are allowed to reapply and be reappointed if you so desire to reappoint them. But if you want to talk to any of the staff members for that, we can tell you how many people are planning on seeking reappointment and how many open seats there might be. So, and of course, that Karen is Audit Committee. I do the Corridor Commission and the Preservation Commission, and Bryce does the Planning and Zoning. So if you have any questions, just let us know, and hopefully we'll have some great applicants for you to look at in December.
Thanks, Ken.
Just for clarification, Mr. Mayor, I just got an email from a constituent about the attendance in public meetings. We will allow people in, right, up to a certain amount. I mean, we've got people here today, so is there, if the public wants to come to the meeting, what is the maximum we will allow in the audience?
If they're when these chairs are spaced like they're supposed to and haven't been wiggled around, I believe we can fit an additional 14 people.
So can we have
Other
a
than
limit and say on our website or something that, public attendance, but up to like 7 or 8? I mean, I don't know, but is the message that we're not allowing anybody in when we have some people in and some people not in?
Well, currently, that's what the website says.
Yeah.
No one but mayor, council members, and staff will be allowed in.
Okay.
That's what it says.
So
No hearing
Ken, I know that, is that still going to be on our website, Ken, or I think we need some clarification on that.
The website will reflect whatever mayor and council decides. I was never given any indication that there was a system to let people in.
Okay.
Right. We just talked about it, we never made a decision, And my suggestion would be to our council, we just have one more meeting for this year. Let's just wait this year out.
You mean?
And not
two
allow-
more- You're talking,
2 more meetings this year.
Right.
November and December. Let's wait this year out and then see.
Okay.
And
What, just-
let's see how our technology work that
Well,
Ken
yeah.
has updated as well.
And I agree with the mayor on that. I think if the technology that Ken has described here with GoToMeetings, if it works the way I hope it is, that'll kind of eliminate the need to let people in,
Okay.
because we'll have served that
So let's let this
purpose.
new technology do its.
For the time being, let's see
Yeah,
how
okay.
it works.
Okay.
I agree with the new technology, and I also agree with people texting or emailing us
Yeah.
if they
Well,
can't
it's
get
worked this
through.
morning. I've gotten an email and a
Yes.
text. So.
Can I suggest that we publish one number for people to text and not your
Yes.
constituents texting you?
Yes,
Right,
please.
Because it's gonna be like herding cats.
Cause-
Yeah, the only reason we did that is because the
Oh,
failures
I
of that number.
understand that, but my suggestion was that they text
One number.
my number,
Yes.
my phone, which is the way you attended, Councilmember Hodges. And this is still, I mean, it's ready now, but it has a tendency to wig out, and if we don't catch it, we have the same thing happen. But,
But
Mr.
maybe Ken can put this on the website, or ask us to text this particular number.
If you're having
If you're
issues
having
getting
issues.
it.
if you
Right.
want to be entered into the queue to make a comment or ask a question.
Right.
Okay.
And it'll only be done, we can probably call them back, probably be the best thing, and not have them call in and
Yes.
wait or get a busy signal or ring or something,
Okay.
so.
So what is that number there, the 8801? I tried that yesterday, just to see who answered, and it just rang. Wait, what is that number, the 8801?
What do you mean, what is the number?
Well,
It's-
I mean,
It's
what's-
a telephone, it's 706-707-8801.
Yeah,
It's
and that's...
this device,
And that's a city,
yes.
and that's only for that device right
Yes,
there?
yes, it's like a desk phone, except it's Polycom.
And it's only activated when we have council
Well, I mean, it
meetings?
sits in the room or sits here, it does nothing until we, advertise or we need it. It can be used for a conference, or it can be used for this purpose. But that's the number dedicated for this device.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Another suggestion for the public maybe is that they know we're going to have a meeting. they're going to want to watch it. It'd be nice if they just sent an email to the clerk so we know that they want to, so we can make sure the people that really want to see it.
Well, and GoToMeeting has a chat section. Somebody just reminded me of that
Yeah.
you can chat on that, so there's
mean,
instant.
You know, Ed,
I want one more thing, because I've attended meetings on all of these things. I want to, warn is too strong a word, but
Yeah,
to
don't.
have too many things out
Yes.
there for people to be injecting, whether it's email or text or chat on
gonna be a
GoToMeeting. I
mess.
mean, are citizens going to have an expectation that we're going to be watching all these things?
And I'll just interject, we always turn the chat function off at all of our GoToMeeting.
Which is good, yeah.
and Ed, I might add that, to your point, the Watkinsville does exactly that. And I've also heard it in one meeting I sat in on in Athens where the clerk invites letters that I think is 24 hours before the meeting. Those letters that are received either through email or snail mail get read. Kind of, that
Well,
could
that's
be,
how it used
but
to
they
be.
get read
No,
in
we're
the
not.
meetings
No.
as public comment, but.
Well, if you get a letter like that, they can always shoot the letter to the council members, you know. And I just wouldn't ask that we read a letter in our council meeting.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that, because there's been meetings where we've had 15 letters. and
Yeah.
we've-
Well, I strongly suggest that we have just one thing to do, because it will be a mess. Either we have one phone number we set to text David's phone. I think we should stick with that. We need to clarify that today, because if we don't clarify, we're gonna have a mess. So we need to figure out right now exactly what we're gonna do. We know we have the 707 number to call in. If you can't get in, I feel like we need to make a decision on what we're going to do. Because we'll leave here
Knowing.
and we won't know, and we'll have a mess. So right now, we need to decide exactly which way that we're going to do it and stick with that. So,
And I think we did advise our clerk, city clerk, to put on the web, you know, that if you have problems, call in, text this number. And I think it's going to be our city manager's number. And if it's a constituent text, any of our council members, shoot them the city
David's
manager,
number.
David's number, you know.
Would, Mr. Mayor, would
yes.
you also like for us to add that the remaining meetings will remain staff and council
Yes.
only?
Yes, for the
And with
rest of-
the ability to have go-to meetings and live streaming,
Yes,
access to that number and access to David's cell phone for text or call.
right.
And to instruct them how to go to the go-to-meetings format. That'll be on
That'll be on the
the
agenda.
texting, okay.
It'll be on the agendas, because
Great.
I think it changes.
And on the
Specific
website for how to attend the meeting. Ken's nodding, yeah.
Question, just for clarity. You're gonna take public comment and questions by phone, but are you going to take public comment and questions by GoToMeeting as well? Are you gonna do both?
Yeah, you can do.
Can we? I mean,
I don't.
we just only take comments at the end of the meeting anyway, by phone. Yeah. Yeah, by phone.
Just a
I wouldn't want to,
We need as much clarity.
yeah,
We
just
do.
just
If
by
you
phone.
want to do A,
You have
this
the
is how
face
you
up
do it.
there, right?
Yeah.
So the face is, the person's up there, right? We'll see them, or will we not see them?
You-
You will? So
Yeah.
I would think that they could go, during the public's comment, that
Yeah,
they should be able
They
to.
can wave and
Yeah.
then
I mean,
can
you-
activate it.
You could say that we're taking public comment through GoToMeeting right now, and then when that's done, we'll take public comment through the 707 number.
Right.
Okay.
That clarify that. Thank you.
that's fine, as long as we got clarification, so we
And
don't
it's
leave it.
consistent, yeah.
Inconsistent, very consistent, yes.
Are you gonna make any, report from city manager, David? I know we have your report tonight.
Just briefly, Mayor. My report, my written report with additions is at your place. Just briefly, we're installing, we're kind of moving on how we're doing speed tables. It's a lot quicker if we do a prefabricated. We install one on Wheat Street. I'm not sure what kind of feedback you're getting is. I know.
have not gotten any as of
Add a second one, and when new ones come in, we'll get those, and we're gonna put two down, at least one, maybe two on East Jefferson. I've been hearing about that one, then probably Maxey Lane. Streets for resurfacing next year. Airport Industrial, North Fifth Street will come from MLK all the way around the railroad, all the way down to Bass Road. And that includes Billups Street. Hugh Circle, Turner Drive, and Gilmore Lane. Skyline Drive East and West Skyline, which are the two little stub roads that access Skyline Drive. And High Street, because we had to pull High Street off because we didn't have it milled enough to do that. Just from North Second to North Main. We'll be milling, we'll be taking out and putting back speed tables, striping, of course, will be part of it. This is about 1.7 to 1.8 miles. It's probably about what we budget based on LMIG funds and with our T-Splost and Splost money. I'll try to identify the roads that are the kind of the worst condition, and also looking at different neighborhoods and trying to spread the blacktop around as much as we possibly can. So if you got an idea, if you know a real bad place or something that needs some attention that might remove one of these, or if it might be a higher priority, please let me know about it.
And just the only one I would
think of any,
bring to attention, the one, Fifth Street that's going up by the soul food restaurant there.
Yes.
If you, it looks so much better, so much safer since they'll cut those trees back.
Yeah.
Talked
a
about
little better.
widening that a little
But
bit.
just widen it a
Oh,
little
we
bit
can
to make
widen
it,
it a little bit?
yeah,
Yeah.
make
Well,
it more safer.
possibly. We're going to see if we can do that. I also talked to the railroad, the CP RailNet, which is the short line railroad about the North Avenue crossing. They're working with GDOT and trying to get some stuff done to really do a good job with that. And I'm pressing my contact with CP to get some of that patched. He says they've got the rubber filler strips to put in there. They're gonna do that, and they'll close it. So that is before they do the full rebuild. That hopefully we'll get that done within the next couple of months. I'm a bit reticent to patch over there and put a bunch of patch in. I don't want
Never last.
rail cars to be rolling across anything I patch. Those things will roll off the rails. I don't want to get involved in any of that. So hopefully we'll get some relief. CSX did a fine job on all their crossings.
They did.
You can tell where the money is. I mean, they patched and they fixed and they're still fixing. But anyway, any comments on that, let me know. Stanton Springs, we extended the main up there where Baxalt, Takeda, they added some roadway, and we needed to put the natural gas main on down to match that, and our 25% cost $36,350, $375. That's been paid. City of Covington got that work done, and we just owed them for that. Sidewalks, I thought College Drive would be the first, but we bumped up Valley Farms. We got a few places where the sidewalks heaved up over there. So we're gonna pop those out as soon as we get a little short job done down here at the Richter Cottage. We're gonna look to start demoing some of that sidewalk and have Mr. Harris in there to replace them. Looking forward to getting that done. Brownwood Road, we installed new pumps there. You may remember we budgeted, and from Brownwood Road up to the Rutledge meter, the pressure and the volume can be challenged at times. So we installed variable frequency drive pumps that'll keep that line charged more. The pressure and the flow should be better up there. We hadn't had a whole lot of feedback, but it's a little better technology, a little bit better pumps. And if they have a fire, those pumps will come on and should give them all that they need. A budgeted item that was installed, I don't like to spend over $100,000 and you not know about it, or at least tell you that it's done. There's a solids removal screen that was installed at Indian Creek. The total cost of that job was about $130,000, and the operators are reporting to me that's working very well. They got a couple of punch list items cleaned up on that, but it's kind of the weak link in the whole process. This removes anything that goes down the drain that's not, liquid. It screens out all the stuff that you need to screen out before that water's treated, and it's doing a fine job. And thank thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting us budget for stuff like that. And we'll probably budget next year to replace the backup on that. City Hall restoration, I'm really, really looking forward to you all seeing, and if you'd like a little preview of what the drawings are looking like about City Hall restoration, the architect has proposed, and I've agreed in principle, but would like to let you know, to have a contractor come in and do some selective demo on the front end and also do some testing on some areas. What the architect would like to do is to really investigate more so that the specifications and the contracts or the plans can be really nailed down as to the work we want to do. That will reduce a lot of questions during the bid process, and the cost of this was just under $15,000, and it's treated as an addendum or an addition to the architect's contract, and if you have no major concerns about that, I'm going to go ahead and let them get that done.
And the City Hall building you're referencing is right next door, not the City Hall Welcome Center building.
No, this is not the old City Hall,
Yeah,
not
this
the
is-
Welcome Center. This is the office
Okay.
that the building we're
All right.
in now, the historic City Hall from the 1930s. The plans are really, really good looking. They're exciting. It's going to be a high-value project, let's put it that way. There's a lot of work to be done, a lot of upgrading, a lot of cleaning up, and removal of finishes that were, drop ceilings and paneling and carpet and tile. It's going to be really taken back to its classical, original floor plan. And it'll be a fine workspace for city for many, many years to come.
So then, do you have any idea when they're gonna get started? Because I know staff is gonna be removed from that particular building.
Yes, we're
for about a year and a half.
finalizing a temporary office for about probably 12 months is what we're looking at to be in a different site. I won't go into what we're looking at right now, but the mayor suggested it, and we've looked at it, and it really, really will work for us.
Good.
The public won't be inconvenienced one bit. We're looking into the technical demands of make sure that all the connections and the wires and everything that we need for computers and phones are there. We're confident that's the case, and then we'll announce that, and then we'll vacate. I would think that the bidding and the contract will start after the first of the year. I'm thinking we'll have to tie down financing. A lot of this is backed up with SPLOST money from some years back. We've got that to do and some other obligations, and we may have to borrow a small amount. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. We'll know all that when the bids come in. But just also Wellbridge, I went to a open house out there, or a business after hours, and their model unit's really good looking. It's fantastic, and we've got gas on in that development. We'll be phasing it in, turning it on as we need it, and it's a good lick for us. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, again, we'd like to thank our representatives from BD being here with us this morning. Thank you so much. At this time, we,
May I make one more comment?
yes, sir.
Chris, in response to the email you got about the tax reduction, I
Yeah.
just wanted to let you know that I'm certainly not speaking out against
Oh, I know.
these, because one of the hotels out there is one of my clients.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they haven't approached this to me, and I understand the tourist industry has just been slammed. But if they have an opinion, a legal opinion, that says that, we could do what they're asking, they have a right to send that to me.
Yeah.
I'll discuss it with the city manager, and
I think it sounds like they want their interest to be postponed or
Yeah.
kind of probably like what the landlords are dealing with. Not that they don't pay it, just that they're,
I just
Let's see.
don't want us doing anything unconstitutional. That's all.
yeah, so I would just ask them to make the proposal and send it to all of us.
Okay. We'll go immediately to our call meeting, and if anyone need to take a quick break before we go to our call meeting, they can. If not, we're into our call meeting. 2021 CDBG document selection memorandum attachment one. Monica?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to avoid all Ken's wires.
His new wire.
His new wires. Good morning. This should be fairly quick. I wanted to brief you specifically on the CDBG responses for architectural services for the middle school, which is now referred to as the Pearl Burney campus or Pearl Burney complex. This is for the grant that the city is turning in April 1st. We're required to score all the responses. Those have been taken in and they have been scored. Just so you know, what I'll be asking for this morning in terms of action, which is why it's on your called meeting agenda as opposed to your work session, is we actually need permission for the mayor to sign the documents that go back to the state that indicate everybody who was sent solicitation and everybody who responded. And then we have to indicate who sat on the scoring committee. So they're very specific about these kind of things. So the first one is that, let me flip to that. Can't lick my finger. Makes me crazy. I can't tell you how many times a day I put my finger up to my mask. Okay.
I think that's what smart people do, lick their fingers when they turn pages. That's
I'm
what
not sure that's
my
the smart
husband
thing.
does the same thing.
Oh, well, then, yes.
Yes.
That's what smart people do. So solicitations were required to be sent to 10 firms. They were sent out as requested. And then statement and of qualifications were received from 3 firms. Those firms were BTBB, Cy Richards, and AMT out of Athens. And so the scoring committee was made up of David Nunn for the city, Ed Latham reviewed for the Downtown Development Authority, acting as chair of that group, Mike Conrads, and for the Boys and Girls Club perspective, and David Burbach, who's a member of their board. So those 4 people scored those responses to the RFQs. The high score was AMT, so that award will be made to the AMT firm. I need for y'all to acknowledge that they were the high score and authorize the mayor to respond to the state indicating who did all that lovely work. And while you're at it, I'd also like the confirmation for the mayor to be able to send the letter for the one you've already approved. That was the grant administration. Grant administration is required to be sent to 7 firms. That was done in compliance with the state requirements. And we had 2 respondents, and the one was out of Florida, one was Allen Smith Consulting. You'll notice on your form I need to fill one in. And Allen Smith scored the highest out of 2. The scores for that application were David Nunn for the city, Ed Latham for acting as chair of the Downtown Development Authority, myself, and Jordan Fleming out of the planning department. Since that's for grant administration, it has more of a staff perspective, and Jordan is our primary contact for Allen Smith. So y'all have already made that award, but I need formally for the mayor and council to authorize the mayor to be able to send, both of these will be sent on city letterhead, fully articulating how we complied with CDBG requirements. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I think this is just a formality, so
It
I'll
is.
move that we allow the mayor to sign the CBDB grant application.
Will you also entertain accepting that AMT was the high score for the architectural response?
Accepting the AT was the highest score for the architectural response.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none, the vote unanimously. Thank you so much. Thanks, Monica.
My pleasure. Thank y'all for your time.
Sure. Before we go into executive session again, anybody need to take a quick break?
We probably need to take
We have
public comment.
Public comment, Mr. Mayor?
From
Well, this
Well,
is,
it's on the agenda.
from the call meeting, yeah, not the work session.
Right.
That number again is 706-707-8801.
David, towards the end of your 1 minute here, I'm going to call this number. I assume if it's working, it'll ring right there. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably me.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, probably.
So it is working.
Sounds like it's working.
Sound like a minute is up, David.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So we'll go into executive session as soon as we get a motion to go into executive session so as Chris get back. So this call meeting is adjourned.
Well, we'll adjourn the called meeting after
That's not me.
executive session.
Good morning. You have a question or comment?
I do. Council, thank you so much. This is Mike Conrad. Just a quick property tax request from the MMLA. Thank you for hearing it. And Mr. Carter, thanks for the information. We don't, obviously, our industry has been hit extremely hard this year, and it is pandemic specific. We were just requesting a one-time this year pandemic-related reduction. So thank you for at least entertaining that. As an alternative to that, the request that we would have is just some flexibility so that the properties can go to the tax collector and work out a payment plan. I've spoken to her directly at the interim, and she is saying that they do have some flexibility, but they have to be given authority by the taxing districts or entities. So that's what we would be requesting, is a reduction, potentially in not the reduction, but a deferral, but without interest or penalties. We will pay our bills. It is an absolute struggle at the moment. So a little bit of leeway there granted would be very much appreciated.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mike.
Thank you.
There was another one. Need to wait another minute or so, because there was another one coming in that was backed up.
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna have to leave at 10:30, so just FYI, if I have to step out, I've got a 11 o'clock appointment,
It
so.
was just one moment.
No,
If they don't call in just a moment, we're gonna go to executive
Yeah,
session.
okay.
because we
No, I
need to-
know. I just wanted to let you know if I'm walking out of
Right.
executive session, that is the reason I have a.
We shouldn't be in executive session that long, I don't think, just.
Mr. Mayor, just a point that for us from a prospect, we would need a motion to leave regular session and go into an executive session. So
We
we're
won't
real-
need a motion, we just need a motion to go into executive session, to leave regular session and go into executive session.
And I make that motion now so we can,
Let's wait till the,
no, I'm just
I
making,
think we've been.
yeah, go ahead and make the motion.
I move that we
Regular to
leave
executive.
regular session and enter executive session.
That's a motion, can
Leave
we get a
the
second?
call meeting, leave the call meeting and go
To discuss
into
personnel.
executive session to discuss personnel.
Second, you second?
Yeah.
Did you second?
I said, I changed it to called meeting instead of regular meeting.
That's a good correction.
So I'll second
I
my,
accept it,
I will
okay?
second, well, we're gonna, quid pro
Okay.
bro.
And buy the book. Wow.
Okay, all in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none. We're now in executive session.
And, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
remember that we have to leave the executive session, go back to regular session
Right.
to call
adjourn.
session to adjourn.
Right.
So,
All right. So we would have to clear our room.